Welcome to Rambunctious Reddit, where the drama's real, the names are fake, and the stories are straight from the wildest corners of the internet. From petty revenge to am I the asshole to everything in between, we bring some of Reddit's juiciest stories to you, the wonderful and lovely audience, one video at a time. Let's get started.
AITA for refusing to give my sister, 27F, the heirloom necklace for her wedding when my grandma, 84F, said it should go to me, 22F? Credit goes to KW Bun. Okay. So this might sound petty, but it's turned into a whole family drama and I need outside opinions. I, 22F, was really close to my grandmother growing up. Like, she practically helped raise me. My parents were going through a messy divorce for most of my childhood, and I spent a lot of time at her place just to have some sense of stability. We baked every Sunday, watched old black and white movies, and talked about literally everything. She's always been more of a mom to me than my actual mom, TBH. She has this necklace, nothing super fancy, but it's antique gold with a little sapphire pendant. It originally belonged to her mother, and it's kind of a family symbol, I guess. She told me for years that she wanted me to have it. She even wrote it into her will when I was 16. Fast forward to now, my sister, 27F, is getting married this fall. We have never been especially close, different dads, lived apart a lot, etc. She's always been the golden child in my mom's eyes, though. A few weeks ago, my mom called me saying she was helping my sister plan her something old, something borrowed, something blue, and they wanted to borrow grandma's necklace for the wedding. My mom said it would be so special and that grandma would love seeing it walk down the aisle. I was like, wait, you mean my necklace? The one she promised me? My mom got annoyed and said it wasn't mine yet, since grandma is still alive, and that I was being selfish not to let my only sister wear it on her wedding day. So I asked grandma directly. She got this quiet look and said she didn't want it loaned out, because she's still planning to give it to me on my birthday this year and didn't want it passed around like costume jewelry. Her words, not mine. I told my mom and sister this, and they completely blew up on me. Now my sister is saying I'm jealous she's getting married first and that I'm punishing her for being loved. My mom keeps calling me cold and ungrateful. Even my aunt texted me saying I should just be the bigger person for one day. I don't think I'm wrong, but now the whole family is basically icing me out. So, AITA for not letting my sister borrow the necklace my grandma specifically said she wanted me to have? AITA for not acknowledging my SIL as a mom on Mother's Day? Credit goes to Special Strawberry One. My SIL, 22F, recently married the father of my real older sister's, 30F, daughter. My sweet niece, A, is only 8 but has been raised around SIL as her aunt. My relationship with her brother, 24M, is not new. We have been together for 11 years, so SIL has had my family as a part of hers for a long time. Recently SIL got married to A's father, 28M, after a day-long engagement. The family was blindsided. I asked SIL if they realized how confusing this was going to be for her now that her aunt is her stepmom. SIL told me I was being dramatic and to move on. When Mother's Day came along I planned a big dinner for my mom, MIL, and sister. We had a cake ordered with their names on it that read Happy Mother's Day to the Three Musketeers. Everyone came on time and the party was in full swing when SIL pulled me aside and asked why she wasn't included in the celebration with the other moms. I admit I stared her in the face and asked why on earth I would do that when she wasn't a mom. SIL called me an asshole and said nothing to me the rest of the night. When I got home I had about 20 messages from A's dad telling me that she is A's mom as well. I told him neither he nor SIL were in the room when A was born and he had no right to tell me who my niece's mom is. Maybe I am being the but I don't feel like I should have to include her in the celebration when she just married this guy and A only knows her as her aunt. Also, I do believe stepmoms are real moms. I am just finding it hard to view her that way. Now everyone is saying I should apologize and include her in any other mother-related celebrations. So Reddit, AITA? ETA I had no indication beforehand that SIL would even want to be celebrated. ETA, A is unaware that SIL and her father are married. A's father also does not have custody, nor does he involve himself in her life other than holidays. AITA for not being polite according to my grandma? Credit goes to OK Presents 3194. I, 14F, am raised in a household that says if you're full don't eat. My mother, 52F, grew up in a pretty old school home who don't agree with her and believe that if you're somewhere outside, you should always eat everything given to you, even I'd you throw up. A few weeks ago, I ate with my mom, sister, 22F, and uncle, 50M, at my grandma's house, 76F. My grandmother serves a lot of food which I end up mostly eating. My mother lets me eat then go into her living room. My grandma then told me, "Gee, come up and eat dessert with us, there's watermelon, you love it." I told her I wasn't hungry, but she kept insisting. I said, "Me ma, I'm not hungry anymore, maybe next time." She kept insisting and insisting. I answered the same thing over and over again. My grandmother got fed up and said, "You just don't want to admit that you're way into your phone to the point of not wanting to spend time with us, your family." I told her that I ate a lot and am full. My mother then stepped in and told her her beliefs. My grandma answered with, "Well, I think it's rude of her to not want to make me happy, and it's just a sign she doesn't love me enough." My grandpa, 76M, stepped in as well and told her to calm down. An hour later, she kept rambling to my sister, who's on her side kind of, and uncle about how eating food even when you're not hungry is just human decency. I genuinely feel guilty because I know that I tend to think of myself too much and that could lead to me being rude. I genuinely think that it's nothing bad that I didn't want to eat, because if it ate I know damn well I would be having a stomachache for days. So Reddit, AITA? Edit. My grandpa cooks because my grandma can't for medical reasons, and he was very okay with me not eating dessert. Edit to the edit. My mom and her siblings usually talk political and money and stuff, so I'm usually told by my family to go in the living room with my cousins, 12F, 12M, 10M, ANS, 16M. I don't use my phone that much, but they just happen to not be here on that day. AITA for doing something for my dad's birthday but not my mom's? Credit goes to space 457. M25 and mom is F45. Things have been rough ever since I finished grad school and came back home. I knew my parents' relationship had been rough over the last few years and that my dad was on the shit end of the stick, but never knew how bad since I was away in school. My sister told me stories, but so far away there was only so much I could do. Fast forward, I've been living back home for about a year to save up some money post-college, and it's been a mess. My mother constantly treats my dad and I like some types of nuisance. Any chance to try and talk to her is met with "I'm busy, what do you want?" or "I'm not mentally ready to talk right now." But in all honesty, it's like this for a year now. She badmouths my dad to her friends, even though my father pays for her to live there, her car, and supports her business with his funds. And then has him bending over backwards at a moment's notice to do anything she wants. She stays out every night well past 11:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., so now I don't even see her. I've told my dad this needs to stop. He had a long talk with me and I think the talk made him realize he wanted a divorce. Because my mom has been so standoffish, we didn't do anything for her birthday. We did buy her a cake to cut, a card, and offered to take her to dinner, but she wasn't even home for that. She went away for Mother's Day as well, flew to San Fran for a work meeting that she told us was optional but went anyway. Things kinda blew up yesterday when we celebrated my dad's birthday. She asked me if she was a bad mom, screaming at me saying she was the one that raised me, not him, etc., etc., etc. During this whole time my relationship with her has been touch and go. If I'm nice she treats me like shit, and if I don't speak to her she tries to be extremely nice. It's a back and forth with my emotions that I need to cut out, as it's very stressful not knowing what version of your mom you're gonna get that day. So I've really been not speaking with her much. Yesterday was our first talk and she came at me screaming. Told her we can talk when she's calmed down. I don't even know what to think. Am I not being empathetic enough? Am I being an asshole? AITA for bringing up my frustrations to my family after being poisoned? Credit goes to Higgs boson 1999. A few weeks ago, me, 17M, and my family went to visit my aunt and her family since they had gotten a new puppy. My aunt had prepared a meal for us, including a plate of cheese and crackers. I'm seriously allergic to sesame, so when offered a cracker I asked if it had any sesame. She said no. I was going to check the box, but thought I was being overly anxious and decided to trust my family. Upon tasting it, I immediately knew I was having an allergic reaction. For the next 30 minutes or so, I felt myself slowly getting more nauseous and wheezing harder, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause a scene. Someone eventually noticed, and though I initially refused, an ambulance was called and I was taken into paramedic care. Afterward, we went home and I talked to my mother about how I felt. I wasn't mad at my aunt, it was an honest mistake. But the reaction from everyone felt lackluster. Most people seemed more concerned about my aunt than me. I was all smiles and brushed it off outwardly, but when I brought it up in the car, my mother had a strong emotional reaction. Among other things, she told me I was being insensitive and rude. After our spat, she didn't talk to me for the next 3 days. Later, she told me I was making a big deal out of nothing, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I let it go and went outside to read and clear my head. About 10 minutes later, she came out and again outlined how disrespectful I had been. A couple of days ago, we went back to their house and they handed us the ambulance bill. I was shocked. I assumed they would cover the cost, since the reaction came from their food. But my father paid the $300 bill without question. My aunt apologized again, and my mother and sister reassured her that everything was fine. Neither of them had been harmed in any way. It felt like I wasn't even in the room. Again, in the car, I brought up my frustration, and again my mother reacted strongly. She told me I lacked empathy and didn't value family enough. I feel pretty hurt. It's put a real strain on my relationship with my mom. I made sure to be polite and respectful when interacting with my aunt and her family. I know my mom and her sister are close, but did I selfishly put myself between them? I even offered to pay the bill, so I know money wasn't the issue, if that helps. I have absolutely no idea how I was never suspended or expelled. I heard that it was because she wanted to bring this image that she could make any student polite and respectful, and didn't want to stain that statement. But that was just school rumors, and to be honest I think it was just that I was the quiet kid who told the occasional joke and got good grades in other classes. Every other teacher was amazing and cared for everyone, and the school didn't really care about RE, and knew that. She was strict, putting it mildly, and a bit paranoid, blaming everything on me even when there was no proof. I was very good at acting surprised when something happened that I caused. It got to the point where she would take the register, and not call my name out, just see if I'm sitting there and roll her eyes. I hid in her supply closet for a whole lesson when I just couldn't care enough to sit through her talking about how we need to learn the truth of the world. She was one of those people who believed that the world was only a couple thousand years old, and actually got in trouble with the principal a few times for trying to make children believe it too, and just played games on my phone. Note to anyone wanting to get revenge on teachers for bringing children to the point of tears and not wanting to go to school, make sure your phone is on silent when you're playing Angry Birds. Hearing her say that the little scum of my class is gone for today. Mature. Probably my worst one was the time where she mentioned that we'd be watching Passion of the Christ over the next 2 lessons, and talking about how accurate/inaccurate it is. Normal kids would just talk during it, make random noises and play on their phones under the table. My reaction was to use the portable speaker to play porn sounds at random moments. It really made everyone see the crucifix scene in a whole new light, given that Jesus was telling the Romans hammering the nails in his hand to go deeper, baby. This went on for about 2 years. I'd do something to mess with her, stick a balloon in her drawer that would pop when she opened it, change the cover of my textbook to look like I was reading about cults, take a wheel off her chair, blah blah blah. I'd get sent to the principal. He wouldn't really give 2 shits, or she'd have no proof it was me. I'd get sent right back and pretend to look like I'd been torn a new arsehole to give her a sliver of satisfaction. Then the cycle continues. But in 2014, I had a medical emergency, just fell off my chair and started shaking. I woke up 2 days later in my local hospital to find out that I had a generalized seizure during class. I later was diagnosed with focal epilepsy, and I had died for around 30 seconds. I don't remember seeing any white light or anything, which would have been pretty fitting for a religion class. I found out my best friend at the time had called the ambulance for me. Why didn't our teacher call it? Because she was fucking praying. My RE teacher almost got me killed because she thought I was possessed by Satan. Credit goes to B Ross 101101. This will be a long one, and no, I am not making this shit up. All I knew about my school's RE teacher before starting in her class was that she was absolutely horrible to kids our age, around 13, and would use the disciplinary system to the point where she was bordering on a drill sergeant. Talked to another student about anything, even asking for a little help with the work. That's an hour's detention during lunch, with no food and her making you read 5 random pages of the Bible over and over until that end of the hour, and if you're in the middle of a page, then she'd make you finish reading the rest to truly drill it in. Most likely, that leads to you being around 10 minutes late to your next class, leading to more detention, although less strict, just something like 15 minutes after school, but still, first domino and all. She would describe children as disgusting parasites that need to be cleansed, and saw her smile maybe 2 or 3 times in the 3 years I was in her class, and honestly I think it was her reminiscing about the times where you could just use the cane on kids. I'd say more, but it honestly gets really dark. Quite a few kids in my class were absolutely terrified of her, and some genuinely had panic attacks. So I just thought, if she wants to make 5 hours a week of our lives hell, I'd do just the same back. It started off small. I put a portable speaker in her classroom that she never found and would play random sounds like my scurrying screams during quiet moments that I swear let her meet God for a few seconds by how she reacted. Songs she deemed unholy. Highway to Hell was a favorite of mine, and the Godzilla or Darth Vader theme every time she walked in. I would use my nasal spray but have a glue logo on it, so when I got sent to the principal's office for snorting glue, I took the label off on the way without her seeing, showed it was just a medical nasal spray, and made her look like an idiot. I would change my work last minute, so when I was supposed to be punished by having to give a full hour's PowerPoint presentation on why God loves us, I gave a 20-minute presentation on if God could beat Superman. I made her explain every single detail of what she said about religion until she would break down and probably debate on if she would get away with just kicking me in the face. Was I in the wrong? Credit goes to No Line 6434. It happened about a month ago. I take private classes instead of going to an actual school. It's more like tuition, and I take that class with 3 other girls. One of them is my teacher's daughter. On that day, 2 of my other friends were absent because they had to answer an exam. It was about 2 p.m. when I was sitting at the back of the class with the teacher's daughter and I was on my phone. I overheard a couple of things that the teacher was saying to my biology teacher, but I didn't really care until the teacher mentioned the names of my friends who didn't come to school. I forgot to mention that the teacher can clearly see me and she knows I'm hearing everything she's saying. As soon as I heard my friends' names, I started recording their conversation. I pretended not to hear anything and continued scrolling on my phone. Me and that teacher had problems in the past, so recording her talking about other students has become normal for me. After the bio teacher and that teacher finished talking, she came to the back and started talking with me. She started talking shit about my friends to me and how they are barely gonna pass the exam. When I got back home, I texted the GC telling them everything. I didn't send the recording. I just told them over text. Somehow she found out that I told my friends and she texted one of the friends that I wasn't telling the truth, that I was twisting her words and she never said those. She doesn't know what I told my friends. Her text caused an argument between us and I got mad and just sent the voice recording to them. She also doesn't know I have a voice recording. Next week when I went to school again, she fully ignored me even when I asked about the lesson. My other friend was there and that teacher was like, "My friend's name, is there anything you don't understand?" My friend answered yes and then looked at me. And I pointed out a question from the paper that we don't understand and I specifically told her what I don't understand. She started turning the pages without even explaining to me, and my friend had to repeat the question for her to answer. It's been over a month and she's still acting like that. Some of the problems we had in the past, her revealing my family secrets to my friend's mother, calling me out for wearing tight clothes even though her daughter wears the exact same one, talk shit about my friends to me, fully ignore my friend because she couldn't catch up the lesson, happened twice.
Thanks for watching. Moi.